Nature. Nature, nature, nature. Some of you might remember the brief intro I had to my videos a couple years back where I ran and I dove into the camera and smelled a flower out in the backyard. Dandelion to be specific. And I said, nature. You know, this video brought to you by nature. And it was a joke going for a while that I kind of now and again touch on, but the reason and meaning behind that goes back farther than just being a humorous joke about, for a quick laugh. It's the fact that really we are all representatives and represented by nature and the things that we're surrounded by. Sorry if you can hear the noise in the background. My neighbor's out there with his buzz cutter cutting the back his jasmine plant right now, it looks like. And perfect example, I guess, of kind of harnessing nature, the way that that's what we do. If you own a home or even rent, if you have a yard at all, you know what a pain in the butt it can be to maintain even a small area. And I've lived here almost 19 years, I think, and we've had trees come down, new trees grow up, and maintaining a yard, even in the small yard I have, I've learned a lot about nature itself as far as my gardening techniques, learning how to grow vegetables, trying to grow organically, trying different techniques. But I think gardening, point being here, if you have even a small space, gardening can be one of the most rewarding and educating things to learn. I believe it's probably one of the top 5 things people should learn how to do in their lives. Like if we were to break down all of life's skills that you need, I think that basic carpentry should be one. Basic construction, rather, building techniques, learning how to build everything from an adobe hut to fixing plumbing. Those are things you need to know. But these are all, I don't want to say, they are natural things in a way, but they're definitely societal needs. Learning how to build, but really, when you think about it, it's a natural need. When they say food, water, and shelter are important things to know, okay? Important things to have, the 3 basic needs, okay? You find that food means you need to know how to hunt. Water means you need to know how to explore and find water. And as for shelter, you have to build a shelter. So in the past, learning how to put sticks together and build a basic mud hut may have been an important skill. Today, learning how to build your own house has been, passed on, and now we let other people do it for us, and we pay a premium for it to have experts do it for us. Just like we pay experts to get the food for us instead of hunting for ourselves. Now, I'm not going to say this is a bad thing. I'm not saying that, because this is actually a huge benefit to us as humans, the way that we've done business in the past. Most of us, not everyone, but most of us, don't want to have to go out and hunt for our food and go out and collect our water and then build our own houses. However, there are some of us who do, to an extent, I guess. I mean, we pipe in our water, we harvest our vegetables from our garden, but we usually have to supplement that with supermarket food. And even though we have these assets, like being able to buy food at the store and being able to get water through a pipe, and having a home, I think it's really important to learn these basic skills, and nature is usually involved. Using nature, wood, no matter what we find for building supplies, for example, wood becomes the most important factor in most buildings, and unless you're talking skyscraper construction, but most houses still require wood and studs and sheeting and for the framing and basic furniture, things like this. And knowing the wood is part of knowing nature, understanding how each tree operates, how thick it is, what kind of forest it grows in. And these aren't imperatives to know, obviously, but I think you got it, bro. God, I hate those screeching, annoying electric things. It drives me nuts. You got it. You can go now. Um, my neighbors are really particular about their yard. They manicure everything perfectly, and he's actually shot at the squirrels before on the fence, and that's what kind of bothers me. You know, don't dare bury your nuts in my yard, motherfucker. No, but you know, to get to the point here, I think that one of the biggest problems we have right now in society, what's causing many of our ailments in the U.S., for example, because when I say the world, I usually, every region has its own ups and downs, but I think in the U.S. And other places, because the cell phone has become, prevalent everywhere, that it's this thing, the thing I'm recording on right now, this cell phone, that we stare at most of the time. I mean, let me just ask you this. Do you look at your phone more than you look out at trees and nature? And if you answer yes, that's where I think that we're going wrong. That's where I think we need to mend our ways. Right now, yes, that's me too. I look out my front window all the time, but we stare at our screens for such a crazy amount of time with emails, with texts, and surfing the web, looking at mindless shit that doesn't matter. We all find ourselves doing it, addicted to that dopamine rush. Call it what you want. But the things that we can benefit from, even taking a small walk at the park and getting out and exploring, I think is immense. I have countless hours, hundreds of hours probably, of really awesome footage I took when I had a GoPro. My GoPro broke. I was so disappointed. I'm really bad about getting a new camera. I don't have a lot of extra money to spend, so I was just like, well, I'll get one someday. But it was a GoPro Hero 7. Perfect camera for me. Had stabilization, and I recorded hours of footage traveling, riding, whether it was riding my bike or hiking or walking, talking. And it's sitting, on like a terabyte on a hard drive, and I've never shared any of it. And I was thinking about that earlier, like how much natural exposure and exploration that I've had, but it's still such a small amount. You can only really expect to get out when you can get out. If you're fortunate, you have a local park, but ultimately, even when a lot of people get out to a campsite or out in the woods, they sit down and they look at their iPads or whatnot or play a game. It's not a way to chastise people for this. It's a way to say we're all kind of guilty of being distracted and that we're going to learn a hell of a lot more getting out and exploring and picking a few flowers, looking at the bark on a tree, than we will just sitting and playing games. However, there is something to be said about having these devices and this technology in the modern day. If you're out at a park, you can take a picture of a flower and figure out what kind of flower that is, what kind of plant that is. Having that kind of identification. So technology is it's not cut and dry. It's not so simple as evil or good. It depends on how you use it, like any tool. I always think of the hammer as the perfect example. A hammer can build and it can also kill or destroy, depending on which end and how you use it. So hopefully we build our tools or use our tools to build smartly, and I think that building our arsenal of knowledge is very dependent on observing nature. And this would be the main crux of my discussion here, which would be the things that we see happening in nature often inspire the creations and innovations we make, whether it's flight, creating airplanes or drones, or, trying to mimic a dragonfly, or trying to figure out how the scales on a chameleon work, or a butterfly, how a butterfly isn't actually blue, it's just the way that the light is refracted on the specific, atomic makeup of their scales, if you will. Nature is pretty damn amazing. And when you observe nature and you see how interconnected and just absolutely insane it all is, it really, it blows my mind. a lot of things, the more you learn about it, the more the mystery's kind of gone. Nature as a whole and animals, symbiosis, connection, is the opposite for me. The more I learn about it, the more crazy it becomes. The more like, holy shit, how is this even possible? How did this evolve? When people talk about science maybe taking them away from God, or the debate between science and religion, I always say it's science itself that has actually given me a pause in my own agnosticism or atheism, if you will. And when I've built my belief of a higher power not on what I was told or taught or read in a book, but what I've seen. Science has actually made me more religious, but not religious in the context of believing what others believe. I would say more spiritual, and saying there's just no way that all these creatures could have evolved with such tight connections and relationships. Just looking at the chrysalis, how a butterfly evolves, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Changing from a caterpillar into a cocoon and then emerging as a winged creature that can fly away. The deep, deep, deep connections between sea animals, mammals, how certain whales can communicate over hundreds, if not thousands of miles with their clicks. 212 decibels could take out humans' eardrums, vibrate them to death, if you will. These connections they found have languages, these clicks. They're not just making clicks, obviously. It's a language. But our small mental grasp on nature doesn't allow us to see these things as humans. We want to believe that we are the superior creature. The thing is, we could kill ourselves off, bacteria would still be here. Bacteria make up more of our cells in our body than our own cells. This is a fact. So we have more foreign cells in our body than our natural cells. However, those foreign cells, we couldn't exist without them. It's a symbiotic relationship. And they very well might be our gods. We don't know. Maybe we work for them. I don't know. But I think understanding nature and really seeing these things, humbling yourself before God is what it is. But it's not God as some being in the sky or somebody you have to worship through what somebody else taught you, but rather just be humbled by the fact that, holy shit, life is amazing and nature is wildly interconnected, and it's undefinable, ineffable, Zen. If the things that you see in nature cease to amaze you, then you need to get back to nature. That's all I could say, because I guess it's all perspective. Talk to you next time. Bye now.